So, in this video I wanted to talk about what do we think of when we talk about feel, and what do we mean when we say, oh, that player's got great feel, all these things, and what are there things that normal people like me and you can do to improve our feel. So hopefully one day someone might say about us, you play with good feel, these kind of things. So first thing to say is I think it means a lot of different things for many different people, and a lot of it comes down to taste. I can think of great players in many genres which have great feel, and it's not always about playing slowly and all that sort of stuff. So someone who has great feel, John Mayer, obviously like a blues-ish player. Jack Gardner has great feel, but he's obviously playing a lot of notes most of the time. Guthrie Govan, great feel, but has a lot of notes a lot of the time. Jeff Beck, I think, comes high on this list, and Jeff Beck I think is one of the things that we could take to learn some lessons from in this regard, because I think if you listen back to lots of Jeff Beck, with Jeff Beck there's loads of different stuff, and he's done fusion stuff, he's done blues stuff, he's done jazz stuff, and it's more then, I think that tells us that it's more about how you respond to the song and whether you're listening to what's happening and responding to that. So I feel like a good way to summarise what is good feel is that was appropriate for the tune, and it brought something to the tune the way you played it. So like as an overarching thing, to me feel means that guitarist got the vibe of what was happening, the taste of the tune, and has either enhanced that or brought something to it. So the opposite of feel to me might be, well, that sticks out, or that doesn't sound like the guitarist was listening to what was happening, or that sort of thing. So that's like a bit of a general thing, and in terms of having things to work on there, I guess you just play along with a lot of different stuff and try and be kind of critical of what's happening. There are other kind of physical and guitaristy aspects to this feel stuff, I think though. Key to this stuff is vibrato, slides, bends, and kind of right hand touch. So I guess we could go through some of those. So for me, I think the right hand touch thing is important because you get a way different tone from a light touch to a heavy touch. And you can shape your phrases based on this, so you can be conscious of this. So you go, okay, I'm going to start this phrase with a heavy touch, and in the middle kind of dip out of that, and then end it with another heavy touch. You could kind of think about this as a improvisational kind of cue for something that you want to execute each time. So each time there I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to start that phrase with a heavy attack and sort of back off from that and then come back into a heavy attack. I think it also sounds really cool if you end phrases confidently with a light note. That sort of thing. So you're thinking carefully about your right hand and, you know, thinking about the shade between soft touch and heavier touch, and that is if the song allows for it and if the dynamics of the tune allow for it. Obviously, if you're going to do this over a screaming blues, potentially some of that's not going to come through. So it's about kind of appropriateness again for the song. So that's kind of how I think of the right hand stuff. So in terms of practicing that, you could just practice kind of gradually getting lighter touch-wise, and maybe do it in context with a tune and get used to that feeling, and maybe try it with each finger. And try going between the heavy to the light stuff, and another thing you could do is take your scale and go from light to heavy. And you know, vary that up, so I might do 2 light. And that sort of thing. So work on being able to play lightly and heavily. And I think also if you start off a solo with a lighter touch, you have somewhere to build up, so you're thinking about kind of headroom in your dynamics. Whereas if you start off like that, you maybe don't have anywhere to build to. So think about that. Now, what else did we say? So we said touch, bends. So I think when you're thinking about this, there was a cool episode on the Guitar Hour podcast when they were talking about working on bends, and Dan was talking about the quarter note bend. So you know, things like we're talking about that little bend up before the note ends. So maybe think about what might be appropriate bend-wise for the tune. Sometimes you might want to get some bends in there. Sometimes I don't necessarily bend loads, but for certain things, if I'm trying to play like a soaring lead solo, or you know, in the style of Brian May or something, then for sure bends might be something that I'm going to employ then. Likewise, Jeff Beck, kind of one of the kings of bending. So practice. What I think really matters with a bend is whether it is in tune or reaches its target. So the Guthrie way of practicing this is by playing the note before that you're aiming for, and then listening to whether you're under the note or over the note, and getting better at that. So those are half, and then you could do the same with like whole. I think it sounds really good when you can get that bend as quick as possible, so not over bending like that. I'm not the best bender, clearly, but like to be able to consistently bend to your target quickly or slowly if you're going for that as well. Also think about sort of pre-bends. I think that's got a really evocative. And the other thing, so a pre-bend, sorry, is where you're already bent up to your target when you hit the note, and then you release afterwards. So I think that's got a really kind of cool sound. And you know, sounds like feel to me in a lot of cases. So the other thing that you can consider is when you play a bend, generally because of the amount of tension in your left hand, your right hand will be kind of digging into the strings quite a lot, and you might even rake the strings beneath. So this, that's like an exaggerated version, where you're sweeping the strings beneath your target. But try this, like bending with a really light right hand touch. So decouple the left hand tension from your right hand attack, and I think you can get some really tones that way, which could be appropriate for what you're playing, or it might not. Then other things that I think you should think about, maybe vibrato. I think without vibrato things can sound just a bit lifeless. So I tend to, if I was playing that kind of thing, like a John Mayer-ish type phrase, but I think vibrato can also vary depending on the song, so you know, it might not require a super wide vibrato, it might just a little movement versus, you know, something wild. But vibrato for sure can really enhance and I think you want to think potentially about maybe every note potentially having vibrato if it's there long enough to have it. And this is something that Eric Johnson, I noticed in his playing, even if the note's not particularly long, like on that, you can get a bit of vibrato in there, and I think it can bring life to that note. So some considerations. I think another aspect to feel would be, you know, how in time are you playing, or are you rushing or playing behind the beat? Those are things that I'm not particularly well qualified to talk about as a guitarist with bad time. But I think generally you want to be trying to play a little bit behind the beat is what people generally certainly in this feel aspect. I think that might make sense. A guitarist with good feel probably doesn't want to be rushing. So Russian, there are plenty of good Russian guitarists. You let me know in the comments if you have some opinions on how to work on feel. I think playing vocal melodies can help, or sax melodies, just so that you're not just thinking about the guitar in terms of, you know, I'm going to play a solo. You're thinking, okay, I'm going to play a melody. I think that can really help. Oh yeah, the little slidey things. So I think sliding into a note or can help to give more of that shape, like we're talking about with the vibrato. So if you slide into a note and then hit it with some vibrato, it sounds way different to that. So maybe you want to consider trying to, whatever your target note is, slide from 1 fret beneath, 2 frets, 3 even, or even. Basically any slide is, oh dear, is essentially going to be bringing some feel and some life to two notes. So instead of, you could have, and maybe that would help enhance the feel as well. So consider sliding from below, sorry, and I think those are some practical ways that you can enhance your feel, or think about enhancing your touch, and think about enhancing the way that you sound as a guitarist. Maybe things to check out and things to think about. Hopefully that's vaguely interesting. Thanks for stopping by. Feel free to like and subscribe if you do like this sort of video. I guess it's talking a bit generally about stuff and maybe isn't going to do particularly well with the algorithm, but something I thought was maybe worth talking about on a Monday. Cheers!